Hey guys, in this video I want to talk to you about adjectives. Now an adjective is simply a word that describes or modifies a noun or a pronoun. So if I say the large man, the word large is an adjective. It describes, it tells me something about the man. Or if I say the small boy, the word small is an adjective. It is describing the boy. It's telling me something about the boy. Now adjectives in Latin are very interesting. When you see them listed in your vocabulary list, you'll notice that they always have three different forms. So, for instance, the word that means small or little is listed this way in your vocabulary list. Parvus, parva, parvum. Now, these three endings are not three different cases. They're not singular and plural. These are actually three different genders. That's right. Adjectives can occur in any of the three genders in Latin. So this is always your masculine form listed first, then your feminine form, and then your neuter form. Now these endings should actually look very familiar to you. These are simply the first endings in your first and second declension chants. Us, e, o, o. I, ah. E, o, o. The reason that adjectives are listed in this way is that adjectives have to match the noun they are describing in gender, number, and case. Those are the same three characteristics that we identify when we parse a noun. So with adjectives, we'll be able to parse them as well: gender, number, and case. But the gender, number, and case of an adjective is decided by the noun that it's describing. So, if we're using the word little to describe a feminine noun, we need to use a feminine form of the noun. If we're using the word little or parvus to describe a masculine noun, then we need to use a masculine ending. So the masculine endings are going to be your second declension masculine endings. The feminine endings are going to be your first declension endings. And the neuter endings are going to be your second declension neuter endings. There's nothing tricky about that at all. Your chant this week looks like a long chant, but actually it's just a repetition of the chants you already know. It's rearranging, putting all the singular forms of your first and second declension chants together, and then all the plural forms of your first and second declension chants together. Masculine, then feminine or first declension, and then neuter. This means that every time we see an adjective in Latin, we're going to have to parse it in the same way that we parse our nouns. Now, in Latin, the adjective is usually going to come after the noun that it modifies. So if I wanted to say small boy in Latin, I could write my word for small, and I'm going to give it a masculine ending there because boy is a masculine word. But most of the time, the word boy will come before the adjective describing it. The noun comes before the adjective. Now in Latin, we've learned that word order is a little bit more elastic. It can move around a little more. So you might see an adjective before the noun that it describes occasionally. But this is the normal pattern that we find in Latin. As I said earlier, the Latin adjective will always match its noun in gender, number, and case. So if I'm going to parse, if I parse both of these words, they should parse in the same way. And in fact, this is the masculine singular nominative form of this noun. And I see my ending here, masculine, singular, and nominative. Now you'll notice that the endings don't look the same. Sometimes they will, and sometimes they won't. In fact, right now, most of the time, they will look the same. But I chose this word because I want you to see that sometimes they will have a different ending, but they will always parse in the same way. They have to match in gender, number, and case. And so if your noun is functioning as the direct object and it has an accusative ending on it, then your adjective will also have to have an accusative ending. Gender, number, and case always match between an adjective and the noun that it's describing. So from now on, when we're translating our sentences, we'll follow the same steps, but we'll add something to one of them. We will first find the verb and parse it like we always do. Then we'll parse all the nouns and adjectives. That will allow us to see which adjectives connect to which nouns. And then we'll move through the rest of our steps, labeling our sentence and offering a smooth English translation. So, in your vocabulary, you're going to learn a few adjectives, and you're going to learn some other words as well. but I want you to focus on recognizing that your adjectives occur in your vocabulary list with 3 different forms because they want you to know the masculine, feminine, and neuter nominative forms of all of your adjectives. Hope this has been helpful. I'll see you next time.